This is episode number 58 at the BS Machine, and we are back again for another episode. And how cool is it? We just keep rolling through these episodes, and each week, the weeks are going so quick, so quick. It's just unbelievable how quick these weeks are going. And I thought, I thought, do you guys remember when you were younger? It took forever to get from one day to the next or one week to the next, and it must be true that the older you get, the quicker time goes. But I don't think that that's true. I just think that we get more and more involved in things things that don't actually matter, and we get less involved in things that do actually matter, that actually move our lives forward. And that's a big one, isn't it? Because it's pretty much what today's episode is about. So thank you for my brain for giving me those words to start with, because it's a perfect lead in this episode 58 into what we're talking about. Because what we're talking about today is what we're delving into is waking up. Waking the fuck up. And I think that it's super important to understand the different aspects of waking up, because we're actually going to start with the waking up of the morning, I guess, because that's probably the best way to start this podcast. Because one of the first things we do is wake up. Like in the morning, we wake up. But there's actually something deeper that I wanted to go into around waking up later in this episode. But to start with, look, I'm sure many of you guys, there's this guy called Rumi, who it's Rumi. He is one of the thought leaders of our times, well, previous times too. And Rumi is he has these different quotes, which I think that I come across quite often, and I really love them. And I want to share one of those ones with you today. One of his quotes, and one of those quotes is the Rumi quote, which is basically it's around waking up in the morning, and it goes so much deeper. But let me read you this: "The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep." So there's there's different depths of meaning to this quote, and you guys will most likely relate that. For myself, quite often, I wake up around between 3 and 4 a.m. Probably 3 or 4 nights a week. I'll wake up at between 3 and 4 a.m. And I've got into this habit of actually looking at what time I'm waking up. And every time it's always the same number. So every time I wake up between 3 and 4, it's always the same number. And I think that you would relate to this. And if you don't, maybe get a clock or a little digital watch or digital clock next to your bed, and have a look when you wake up. Like, really have a look what time it is. And for me, the time is every time 3:27. 3:27, I'll wake up not every morning, but at least 3 or 4 nights a week. I'll wake up at 3:27. And so one of the things that I've started doing is that when I'm waking up at that time, I actually sit up in bed and I'll put my feet on the floor. Now, it's a close contact with this quote that Rumi put out. "The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep." And the reason that I do put my feet on the floor is because at that time, and I've looked into what Rumi sort of says about this, but basically at that time is a really, really perfect time for you to connect into this higher intelligence that we all know that is out there. There is a higher intelligence that's much larger than us and much greater than us as the separateness of the human being or the physical self. And when we, not when we, the best times to lock into that source is between somewhere around 2:30 or 3 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. And the simple reason being is that it's quiet and you can easily connect into the source. And at that time is the time when you must ask for what you really want. And what I've been doing the last few nights when I've been waking up at that time is I've actually woken up out of bed and I've done some journaling. And when I wake up and do some journaling, it almost feels like that there is something else moving through you. There is something else that's coming through you. So you can almost ask any question and you will get the answers. And you just, as you're journaling at that time, or as you're, whatever, if you're writing a book or if you've got some art that you're doing or anything like that, or you're working on something, if you actually wake up at the time when you naturally wake up between those times, 3 and 4 a.m., and you do, just, it doesn't have to be long. It could be 10 minutes, half hour, an hour, or whatever. But you know what the funny thing is? Like, before I started doing this, my initial thought was like, oh, but what if I stay up until 6:30 or whatever, and then I have to wake up anyway? And the funny thing is that, you know, if you really think about it, you're thinking, you're going, oh, well, I'm going to lose all this sleep. Dude, once you fucking die, you're going to have eternity to sleep. So if you're getting woken up, or if you're waking up at that time, why wouldn't you use that time wisely? And then, I guess if you want to bring it even deeper, I mean, you could literally do a 15 or 20-minute meditation through the day if you're getting tired or whatever else, or have a power nap or whatever. But most likely what will happen, what I've been doing is I've just been waking up, putting my feet on the floor at that time, doing a little bit of journaling, asking some questions, getting what's obvious, all that type of stuff. And then I've gone back to bed and woken up at like whatever 6 or 6:30, just like I've had a full night's rest, and I feel fucking amazing. And so there's a real thing in that. If you are waking up at that time, if you're not, you might listen to this podcast and now you might start to notice that you are actually waking up at that time. So if you do that moving forward, why not? If you do wake up, just put yourself out of bed and put your feet on the floor, and then go, you know what? I'm just going to do something here, even if it's for 10 or 15 minutes. And then if you want, you go back to bed. But it's these things that really elevate us and elevate our energy, and we get to start understanding what Rumi says. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. Now, what that actually means to me is that we've got the physical world and we've got the this greater awareness, this consciousness, which we're all part of and we're all locked into. But if we have the ability to lock into it at that time, why would you not? It's almost like, why would you not do that? And then it says the door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. The door is wide open for you to get all your answers, for you to get all the stuff. And that's really where life is at. If you want to grow, if you want to expand yourself, if you want to move forward, if you want to get the things that you really want, then do the work. Like, actually listen to yourself, listen to what's going on. And this sort of leads into the next part, which is basically, it's waking up is, yeah, obviously you wake up in the mornings, whatever, but really what waking up to me means is waking up to life, to actually waking up to life. And there's another quote, which I don't even know who said it, but I've been saying it with my buddies, since we're quite young, which is basically, life's a fucking shit sandwich, take a bite. Life's a shit sandwich, take a bite. And that sort of brings this element of fun and joy. because because look, life isn't all roses and butterflies. Life has shit that happens in it. And when that shit happens, you're either going to be one of two type of people. You're going to be the person that gets really involved in all the shit, and you're going to go into this whole thing of woe is me and play the victim and carry on and my life's so shit and no one supports me and this, that, and the other. Or you look at life like, you know what? Life's a fucking shit sandwich. Let's take a bite. And when you start to take a bite into life, when you start to realize that it's not all roses and butterflies or roses and rainbows or whatever the saying is it rainbows and butterflies? How funny! Every single episode, I say I'm say some sort of quote or whatever or saying, and it's never right. It's always like 80% there. But you guys know what I mean. So it's not all roses and butterflies. It involves some stuff, and when that stuff happens, you've got to be able to just take a little step back and really ask yourself what is actually going on, and with all of your might, with all of your vigor, like take a bite into what life is actually showing you. And when you're waking up to life and you're waking up to the things that are actually present right there with you, when you're waking up and you're seeing all the things that are happening, you stop playing the blame game and you start to realize that the things that are actually solid and the things that you've built for yourself, you really start to realize that you're quite an epic human being. You really start to realize that through your years of, however old you are, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Oh my God, I've quickly got to tell you this story. Yesterday I was going for a walk and I met this really, really wonderful old man. He was so cool. And there was no reason we met. I was just walking my doggy and I just came across him and I was sort of, there was just an energy there and I just stopped. I looked at him and I looked into his eyes. I'm like, hey man, how are you? And we just started chatting and he was actually listening to a New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and we had such a wonderful conversation. I stopped 15 minutes. His dog and my dog were playing, and this guy, he would have been in his 70s or 80s, such a cool dude, and we just had like a really nice moment in time, and I felt like I I answered the call to stop and I listened to my intuition to stop. And maybe there was no other reason to it than for me just to sit and chat to this guy. And who knows what that, maybe there is no reason, but all I know is that connection. And we were looking at each other deep in our eyes. We held eye contact. We were chatting and we felt I felt the essence and the wisdom of this older dude. I really felt his wisdom, and it made me open up and wake up to the wisdom within me, and so the things that happen in life that you don't like or that you don't agree with, or the things that happen in life that you wish turned out different, they're things that that they happen, and it doesn't mean that you didn't make a mistake, or it doesn't mean anything. It's like they're just reasons that we have to realize that every single person that comes into our existence, they are showing us something. Every person we come across has something unbelievable to offer, not just to us, but just to the experience of life, because they're basically just a reflection of who we are. Otherwise, there is no way that we would have attracted them in. There's no way I would have attracted in this. I could have just seen him, not said a word, and just walked on my merry way. But there was something in me that was that was guiding me to chat to this guy. There was, and I know that if you're listening to this, you're resonating. How many times have you felt this attraction or this thing with another person and you just wish that you could stop and talk to them, and then you walk off and in your head you're like, man, fuck, I should have stopped to talk to them. And the thing is, and then we go into this story of, oh, well, what would I have said and what could nothing. You just stop and you say, if you're feeling that there's a some sort of draw towards someone or something, you just stop, you take a breath, and you just say, hey, dude, how you going? How are you going? And we just started chatting, and he had headphones, and I said, oh, what are you listening to? And he's like, oh, I'm listening to The New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I'm like, dude, I love that stuff. And then we just started getting deeper and deeper into it. You know, we just, it was so cool. And so this is what we have to understand. It's not just waking up to life, it's waking up to others as well. Understanding why others come into our experience of life, why others come into, and this is, you know, any type of person. It could be even intimate relationships, even, you know, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters. Every person we come across has something great to offer us because they are just a reflection of who we are. Otherwise, we wouldn't have attracted them in. So don't be in a rush to dismiss and let go of people in your life when they don't act in ways you expect, because they are simply pushing you or encouraging you to look at yourself on a deeper scale, to look at yourself. And this is where I reckon this is the real clincher. And I do this myself too, where we put expectations on other people. I do this myself quite often. You put expectations on other people on how they should act, on the decisions that they should make. You put expectations on how they're going to give you what you want. And as soon as you put those expectations on someone else, you're basically you're telling yourself that you're not powerful enough to create those things, and you're also telling yourself that you're focusing on things that you're lacking, not things that you have. And this is one of the greatest things about waking up to others, like seeing others as fucking magical, seeing others as they are the beautiful being that they are, and realizing that there is such a deep love that we all have as human beings. There's such a deep chemistry and deep emotion that we all share. We all share things like anger. We all share things like love. Like, oh my God, sorry, but the feeling of love is so wonderful. You know, and there's different feelings of love. There's the love you can have with a dog. Like, oh my God, my dog Chili, and you know, I just need to grab his face and he looks at me and he puts me straight into my heart. I could be in the worst mood in the world and he'll just pop me out of it in 2 seconds. And all I need to do is just be around him or touch him and he jumps on me and whatever else. And he somehow puts love in me. And that's the thing. It's not him. He's engaging or igniting the love in me just by him being himself, you know, and so that's dogs are great. But even other humans, I mean, man, there's so many different levels of love you can experience from another human being. Like, intimate love is so beautiful. It's so nice. You feel it at the bottom of your heart, at the core, and it's not the other person giving you that. It's they're helping you ignite. You know, they're mirroring to you something that is within you and something that is within them. And so, if for any second of your life you are sitting back any moment and you think that there's something or someone out there that can give you something that you don't have, you're on the back foot already. You need to realize that there is nothing out there. There is no other person that can give you what you don't already have. This is real waking up. This is what waking up is all about. This is what it means to really wake up to ourselves. And so, but let me just stay with this for a second, because when you really wake up to others, and you see others as an opportunity for them to hold up the mirror, and for you to hold up the mirror to them, it is such a wonderful experiment. It is such a wonderful test, and it will bring you all the gifts that you've ever encountered when you start looking at others. And I haven't done this for a while, but it just reminded me as I'm talking about it, which is this thing of looking at another person. And I used to have this little mantra, and you look at the other person, you're like, oh, hello, me. How you going, me? Hey, how you going, me? And it's you just laugh inside, but especially when someone's pissing you off, or they're acting in ways that you don't want them to act, even if it's horrible, or it really hurts or whatever. You can look at that person and go, hello, me. Oh, what's going on there, mate? Hey, how you going? And it brings back this element of self responsibility, doesn't it? It totally does, because you have the ability, you're evolved enough to be able to see others as mirrors of who we really are. And even, like, even with podcasts, like I listened to a podcast the other day, and it something about this guy just really annoyed me. I was just annoyed, and I listened to the whole podcast, but something just annoyed me, like his voice, the shit he was talking about, all of it. It just annoyed me. And then I realized that there is just something, it's got nothing to do with him. It's totally not him. It's something within me. And then, you can do as much digging as you want. And, there is that thing where you can go, hey, come on, mate. Like, at this stage, like, you don't need to go and do journaling about why guys pissed you off, or you don't need to go do journaling about, um, why someone triggered you. But maybe you do. I don't know. It depends on how deep you want to go. But it is, some people just rub you up the wrong way, and whatever. It's like you can look at them and go, hello, me, how you going? But it just depends how deep you want to take it. But with little things like that, it's whatever. But still, there is, it's you have to, with others, like, just. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go on about it anymore, but we are all living in this world where we're constantly coming up against other people. Sometimes those are good experiences, sometimes they're shitty experiences, and sometimes they're fucking epic experiences that end for dumbass reasons. Like, how dumb, that's just dumb when they just end for dumb reasons. And when that happens, all said that there's a mirror, and so there it is. I mean, look, uh, and then look, let me just take this a little bit further, because I'm just not done yet. I'm sorry, because this is really, really important that you can really fathom this, because we've talked about actually waking up. We've talked about waking up to like the physical way of waking up, like that 3 a.m. thing. We've talked about waking up to life, which is basically, this whole thing of life's just a shit sandwich, take a bite, not all roses and butterflies, and having the courage to step in and take a bite, and just understanding that life's got shit that happens in it, and bringing in, the way you deal with it is the way you deal with it. You're going to be victim, or how you're going to take it. And then, waking up to others. So, where do we take this? Because I just don't feel like I'm finished, because I think the most important part to it, when it all comes down to having the ability to properly wake up is ultimately what we really want to do is wake up to ourselves. And I believe that in order to properly wake up to ourselves and wake up to our ultimate life and our ultimate being, is that we have to do a little bit of exploration. We have to do a little bit of exploration, go on a little journey, and really understand what our patterns are. And patterns, to me, life patterns have got so much to show us. And I have gone into this in a previous episode before, but in terms of patterns and habitual behaviors, if you don't realize that you're in a pattern, then then you're pretty much fucked, because you won't realize that you're playing out the same pattern time and time again. Excuse me. You're playing out the same pattern time and time again, just putting different characters into the pattern box. So you really do have to understand what your patterns are. And when you understand what your patterns are, you'll realize that you start to wake up to yourself. If you keep shoving shit under the carpet, under the rug, and you have all these narratives of how you are and what your patterns are and whatnot, and you won't budge, you're just going to keep living out the same patterns over and over again. And that must suck. Like, it sucks when I do it, but I know I do it way less than what I used to do it, because I notice when I'm in a pattern and I'm just like, yep, nah, I yank myself straight out of it. And the way that I yank myself out of it is I get real downright honest with myself, and then I tune back in, or I bring to the surface what my true potential is. And I know that my true potential as Tommy Kendi is unlimited. The shit that I can create is unbelievable, only because I've done it before, but now I'm a lot quicker at creating it. I don't take years and years and years. If I'm in a pattern, I come out of it within a couple of weeks or a month, or maybe at maximum a few months. And I pull myself out of the pattern. I'm like, right, this is this is not true for my soul, my heart. This is just, it could be almost there or whatever, but it's just not true for me. And usually that happens to me when it comes to my work stuff and how I'm expressing myself out to the world. And I'm a big believer in having the courage to really put yourself out there. And I'm still definitely in the process of that. And but I really fucking love who I am today. And so, yeah, I mean, look, with patterns, you've got to understand what your patterns are. If you don't, and you've tried and you haven't realized, get a fucking coach. And hey, guess what? You could come see Tommy Kendi. You could come see Tommy Kendi as a client, and you could find out all your patterns, but you'd have to make some sort of action point to that, wouldn't you? Which is reach out to Tommy, and you could even do a little introductory session with the T-Dog and see where that takes you. And then who knows what could be next. So, and this whole thing about what waking up to ourselves is waking up to our potential. Like, that's the thing, guys. We've got all have so much potential in the way that we put ourselves out to the world, in our earning capacity. We have so much potential in changing the world, in changing ourselves. How do we do that? It's tiny little steps. You're not going to do it in 2 seconds. Like, actually, who am I to say you're not going to do it in 2 seconds? Maybe you will, but you have to do something. You have to go towards something. And you've got to, you have to really take a step back, and know your patterns, and then know what your potentials are. And with the potentials, the way that they're going to come up is they're too hard basket. The way that your potentials are going to come up is like, oh, I'd have to do way too much. I don't have the capability. I don't have the people. I don't have the money. I don't have this. I'm too scared. There's too much at stake. And no, I'm not going for it. It's too hard. So you just stay. You put all your magic in the too hard basket. What a fucking crime that is. Like, let's stop doing that right now and wake up to our potential and know that we're here to do epic stuff. And I might leave you guys there because I think I've covered a fair bit in terms of waking up. We're waking up in the mornings. We're waking up to life. We're waking up to others. And we're waking up to ourselves. Have yourself a merry, merry, merry week. And, thank you, Tommy. I don't even know what I spoke about, but I did. I spoke about waking up, and I'm really glad that I did. And I'm really glad that you guys listened. And each time you listen to not just this podcast, but any podcast, if you get something out of it, fucking do it. Like, don't just sit there going, oh, that was a good one. Fucking do something. Do it. Do something. Love you guys. And I'll catch you on the next episode at the BS Machine next week. Love you guts.